A few weeks ago, I did the YouTube thing where I made a video whining about modern Star Wars. Sort of. The point of that video wasn't really to gripe about Star Wars specifically, but the current trend of milking old franchises from my childhood to death over and over and over, and trying to deconstruct them or update them for the newer generations, while ignoring newer IPs that were made for this generation or making something original. Honestly, how much do teenagers today actually care about stuff from the 70s, 80s, and 90s when they weren't even alive at the time? Sure, those decades are trendy right now, but that'll pass, as all fads do. And these kids didn't grow up with that stuff the way people my age did, so the nostalgia factor just isn't there. In trying to constantly rehash older IPs for younger generations, Hollywood has failed both the older generation by turning these properties into something they were never supposed to be, and younger generations by ignoring the stuff they grew up with in order to keep trying to shove once popular characters down their throats, since making new stuff requires risk, and no one wants risk these days. So along comes Minecraft, a movie I had no real interest in based on a video game that my son used to force me to play with him about 10 years ago. Alright, I don't want to make it sound like I hate Minecraft. I don't. On the contrary, I think Minecraft is a fantastic game with a level of player freedom and emergent gameplay that taps into the player's imagination in a way I'd never seen in a video game before. It's massive, it's impressive, it inspires creativity, it's utterly singular, and it's just not for me. Sure, I had fun farting around with my son on it, building castles and trying to keep zombies and creepers from destroying them, but I mostly prefer games with stories and quests and whatnot, and being plopped down in a vast open world and just told, go do whatever, was just too much freedom for me. I felt no real pull or point to it, and so I got bored with it pretty quickly. But my son loved it, and hey, that's right on. So like I said, I had no interest in the Minecraft movie at all, but after seeing all the negative reviews for it, a dim little light bulb slowly flickered to life within my thick skull, and I realized, hey dummy, remember all that complaining you did earlier about Hollywood ignoring the newer generation? Well, here's a movie that's actually made for a newer generation, and you're just skipping it. And so, I and my now 20-year-old son bought our tickets, snacks, and sody pops, and gave Minecraft a go. Now, is it really as bad as everyone says it is, or are all those squares giving it the thumbs down just missing the point? Grab your shovels and pickaxes, and let's get digging. Ever since Steve was a kid, he dreamed of adventure, and nowhere seemed to be packed with more adventure than the local mine. He'd show up pickaxe in hand, only to be chased off by a grizzled old miner. When he grew up, he did what all adults do and got a 9-to-5 job, but the mine just kept calling to him. So he again grabbed his pickaxe, went back to the mine, and this time gave that old bastard the slip and got to mining. Before long, Steve uncovered some strange artifacts, and after combining them, he's pulled into the overworld, an alternate cuboid dimension where he has the power to create anything he can imagine. He befriends a wolf named Dennis, creates cool stuff to his heart's content, and life just can't seem to get any better for old Steve. But it can get a whole lot worse. Steve and Dennis stumble upon a mysterious structure, and unable to keep his curiosity in check, Steve repairs it and unwittingly opens a portal to another cuboid universe, a hellscape called the Nether, where creativity is banned. Steve, seeing that his capture is imminent, gives the artifact that brought him to the overworld to Dennis and tells him to take it back to Earth to hide it so the evil piglins can't use it to escape the Nether. Back on Earth, and some months or years later, I think, Henry and his older sister Natalie are moving back to their mom's hometown after her death. Natalie takes a job at the local potato chip factory to pay the bills, while Henry enrolls in, I think, middle school. On his way to school, he walks into a retro game shop run by Garrett the Garbage Man, a one-time video game champ whose best days have long since passed him by. There he discovers the artifact that Dennis had hidden, and soon he, Garrett, Natalie, and real estate agent slash mobile zoo operator Dawn are whisked into the overworld, where they meet up with Steve and join him on his quest to defeat the piglins and save both the overworld and Earth. Alright, first things first, a Minecraft movie, as it's called, was not made for me. I'm only somewhat familiar with the game, and so a lot of the fan service and Easter eggs went straight over my head. The humor is juvenile, the acting is childish, the pace is hyperactive, and you know what? Fine. I bet I feel the same way toward Minecraft that my parents felt towards He-Man and Marshall Bravestar. I don't get it, but the kids like it, so whatever. It currently has a 47% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, but an 86% audience score. And you know why? Because this movie was made for its fans, not for film critics or geezers like me. It may not be a great movie, but it is a great kids movie, and unlike most of the angry, bitter Hollywood slop based on older IPs, you can tell it was actually made by fans for fans. There's no modern politicking or postmodern deconstruction of beloved characters. It's just a fun movie with dumb jokes and a nice, positive message. The whole cast is certainly having a good time. Sebastian Hansen and Emma Myers as siblings Henry and Natalie provide the movie with young, relatable characters whose jobs are to be the sort of avatars for the young audience and to keep the real heart and soul of the movie, the goofy duo of Jason Momoa's Garrett and Jack Black's Steve, grounded, focused, and on task. Momoa's got comedy chops for days, and while the material here might not be the best, he attacks it with goofy, charming bravado. It's just impossible to not like the guy.
Speak it!
Jack Black is Jack Black, and if you like Jack Black's shtick, you'll like him here. Personally, I'm a bit worn out on it, but I can see it being a hit with the kiddos. He definitely has that gleeful, childlike energy. Him constantly saying everything's name out loud got kinda old though.
Chicken Jockey!
But again, that's for the kids, not me. Danielle Brooks does her best as Dawn, but ultimately she's just kinda there. She's not given a whole lot and really doesn't add anything and probably could have been cut altogether. And the same goes for Jennifer Coolidge's sorta kinda side plot thing with one of the villagers that wanders into the real world. It serves no purpose, although it does have the funniest joke in the whole movie.
Are you finished?
No, I think he's Swedish. But we're done with our meal.
God, I love bad jokes. Minecraft moves at a breakneck pace and is utterly packed with fan service. Probably a little too much, in fact. The story and pacing suffer a bit due to the filmmakers wanting to cram as many Easter eggs and references in as possible. Problems pop up only to pretty much solve themselves a minute or even a few seconds later. It's pure and then storytelling start to finish.
We've found out this really simple rule that maybe you guys have all heard before, but it took us a long time to learn it. But we can take these beats, which are basically the beats of your outline, and if the words "and then" belong between those beats, you're f***ed.
Where the writers have a bunch of events, characters, and Easter eggs that they want to shove in, so they just make sure that they do, regardless of whether they make sense or not. And again, this might be a problem for someone like me, but I bet the fans were eating it all up. On the visual front, Minecraft looks okay. I think it would have been an incredible looking animated movie. The character designs and world do look pretty damn cool, but with the live action people thrown in, it kinda winds up looking like yet another green screen-orama. It doesn't look terrible, I mean it's no worse than any of the other green screen-a-thons out there, but it doesn't look great either, and I can't help but think that a straight up animated movie would have looked way cooler. It's also really nice that this movie ends. It's a self-contained little story with a beginning, a middle, and a conclusion, and that's nice to see. I'm sure a sequel is already in the works given how successful this movie's been, but it doesn't go out of its way to set up a franchise with a cliffhanger or a baited hook or anything. And that's quite refreshing in this day and age where studios are desperate to make franchises and not just tell stories. After we left the theater, my son said, and I agree with him, that as fun as this movie is for young kids, it came out a little late. If it had come out 5 to 10 years ago when he was still a kid, did, and when Minecraft's popularity was at its zenith, it would have been a colossus. I mean, it's doing good, but I bet it would have been cosmically huge a few years ago. Back then, he would have dragged his mother and me kicking and screaming to the theater, but at his age now, he really didn't have any interest in seeing it, and I can't help but wonder how many more older fans like him, who grew up on Minecraft, passed this one by. This is not a movie that needed a 5 or 10 year gestation period. This is a very simple kids movie that could have been, and probably was, banged out pretty quickly. So what took so long? Oddly, that makes this the second movie based on a video game with craft in its title that came out long after that game's star had fallen, although Minecraft is faring much better than Warcraft. In the end, to sound like a broken record, Minecraft ain't for me. And you know what? That's good. I'm glad they made something for younger people and kids based on something they grew up on, and I'm glad they made it to actually appeal to those fans. It's goofy, it's childish, it's a little late to the party like this review, and maybe it doesn't have the best script or pacing, but it's also nice and joyful and positive and happy. It's a fun kids movie, and that's all it wants and needs to be. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Adios.